Okay, I'm back with another episode of How to Fix the New York Giants. This time we're going to be talking about the cornerback room. So, with that being said, hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. You see the thumbnail. Cornerbacks. Now, we were moving in the right direction, or I feel like we were moving in the right direction when it came to the secondary. Secondary ended up being a brighter spot than we thought it was going to be. We thought it was going to be a weakness. It turned out to being one of our strengths, and due to a fantastic rookie, and maybe not fantastic, but a really solid rookie season from Deonte Banks, physical corner, everything we thought he was going to be. He is that. He still needs some more developing, but right now we are on. I believe we are in the right place or on the right track with Deonte Banks. Outside of that, Cordell Flott, another year of development, right? So this is going to be year 3 for Cordell Flott, coming up for year 3. Year 1 was what it was. You know, he made some plays. Year 2, stepped up, showed that he can be a little bit physical, despite his light frame. And Cordell Flott hasn't jumped on the scene. Obviously, we want him to just make that leap and jump on the scene and solidify himself. But I think he is gradually becoming a good piece for the secondary. Not a non-replaceable piece, but somebody that you can continue to develop. Again, this was a young guy. He was 20 when we drafted him. You know, still a young guy. I believe with the progression that he can make, that he can actually turn into somebody that's going to be solid in his rotation. Another guy, Trey Hawkins. Trey Hawkins, obviously there was the big hype of Trey Hawkins, you know, pushing Adoree Jackson to that slot position. We went into that Dallas game, doors got blown off, and we realized Trey Hawkins needed to take a step back and develop a little bit more. So that does not go against the flashes that he made in practice, in preseason and stuff like that. But again, that's practice in preseason. We already seen a lot of preseason warriors. Darnay Holmes is one of those guys. A preseason warrior, making all those plays in practice. When it comes to the real game, you know, not so much. But Trey Hawkins, you can't teach the size, you can't teach the speed. But if you can get him down with his fundamentals, he has all the tools, has the skill set. Just needs a little bit more time to develop. Again, he went to Old Dominion. He played against that type of competition. So it is what it is. But Trey Hawkins, a guy that you could put on that not a back burner, but he definitely, I definitely deserves a spot on the roster. But you need to let's be realistic and let this man develop. Then also the guy that's on IR, Aaron Robinson. You know, what do you want me to say about Aaron Robinson? Thought he flashed a little bit 3 seasons ago, that Miami game. Outside of that, you know, can't stay healthy, but he's still on the roster. But you know, I think that you have some pieces. I do think you need to add some pieces as well, whether it's free agency or the draft. You definitely need to add to that room. Now let's talk about some of these free agents. Adoree Jackson, free agent. Do the New York Giants want to keep Adoree Jackson, re-sign Adoree Jackson? Well, you know, I go to Spot Rack like I normally do. I have my notebook like I normally do. And I'm looking at the market value for Adoree Jackson, and the market value for Adoree Jackson is $11 million. $11 million per. And right now, the trend of all these videos is that the New York Giants are broke. Yes, we can move around some money, you know, change some contracts around, but I would assume you're trying to make room in order to sign Xavier McKinney. So Adoree Jackson with a market value of $11 million, that seems a little bit too high for me. Darnay Holmes, another free agent. Do you want to re-sign him for cheap to keep him in the rotation? I think it's time to let Darnay Holmes go. You had time to develop, and it wasn't from a lack of playing. You were on the field. It's just some weaknesses that Darnay Holmes has that he wasn't able to fix, you know, despite having all the chances in the world. He's good when it comes to picking up. He can sniff out a screen for sure. He can tackle. But as far as coverage goes, he's a little bit limited. And a lot of that has to do, you know, with his size. He's on the shorter side because he's there to make plays. He's just getting mossed all the time. So it's just something that he can't, you know, overcome. Nick McLeod is another cornerback that's going to be a free agent for the New York free agent this season. I think Nick McLeod is a guy that you sign. I don't think he costs you a lot of money at all. And and it showed when he was called upon. He was able to make plays in some very, very important situations. So Nick McCloud is a guy that I would absolutely bring back, sign as a rotational piece in that secondary. Nick McCloud as your third or fourth cornerback sounds like a pretty good deal to me. So I would definitely bring back Nick McCloud. So let's talk about some other options out there. Now you can say, oh, you got guys like Kendall Fuller. He's going to be a free agent. Well, the market value for Kendall Fuller is like $14 million. Again, that's a little too high for what the New York Giants are trying to spend. C.J. Henderson, from the Carolina Panthers. C.J. Henderson is a little bit intriguing to me. A good guy that you can pair with Deonte Banks, a young Deonte Banks. His market value right now, again, according to Spot Rack, is about $8.4 million. Now, there's a guy that I like that seems to be a little bit more affordable for the New York Giants, and that's going to be Sean Bunting from the Titans. He has a market value of $6.7 million. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot more doable in the situation that the New York Giants are in. Still a young player, and we're talking about a 2-year deal, but just a good guy that you can add to that room with Jerome Henderson to try to develop this young secondary. So he's going to be an option. And then, of course, we're talking about the draft. And again, another trending opinion that I have with all of these videos, how to fix the Giants off-season strategy videos that I've been doing, is you have to build within the draft. And this draft has some solid cornerbacks. First round, second round, and even moving into the third round. There's some good cornerback options for the New York Giants to add to this room. Imagine, how excited we were last year for some of the people that, drank the Kool-Aid a little bit with Trey Hawkins, including myself. Like, okay, well, is this guy really as good as people are saying? Does he have the potential that people are saying? We was like, wow, what if we got both our cornerbacks in one draft? And there was some excitement with that. Died down pretty quickly. But you look at this draft, and obviously you got guys at the top. You got Kool-Aid, you got Cooper DeJean, you got the Nate Wiggins. You got a lot of guys at the top end. Maybe not at 6. 6 is a little bit high for any one of those corners. Terrion Arnold is another one. It seems like a little high. So for me, the sweet spot for the cornerback position is like the sweet spot for a lot of people. When I look at that second round, I think about the people that might fall out of the first and into the second. You have 2 picks in the second round. Obviously, the quarterback situation is what it is, and that depending on what we do in the first round dictates what we're going to do with those 2 picks in the second round. But you got guys. There's guys in that second round that might fall out of the first. Now, one guy that blew up the Senior Bowl was Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo. Everybody's talking about him now, how he's rising. They still got him listed as a first to second round pick. A lot of people saying he did so much in the Senior Bowl that there's no way he's falling out of the first round. But listen, somebody always falls. Somebody always falls, and who knows? It might not be him that falls. It could be somebody else. Another name I have is T.J. Tampa. T.J. Tampa, big body cornerback out of Iowa State. 6'2". They say he's 6'2", just 200 pounds. They said the same thing about Deonte Banks, 6'2", 200 pounds. He ended up being over 6 foot and like 195. So TJ Tampa, to me, he probably could be 6 foot, 6'1", 195 as well. But a good physical. It doesn't stop what you see on tape. And then looking at some guys later than that, you got a guy like Max Melton from Rutgers. Shout out to Rutgers. You got Kalen King, who's also a day 2 guy from Penn State. Didn't have the best Senior Bowl. Was getting cooked a little bit at the Senior Bowl. But, that's just the Senior Bowl. He has some good tape as well. And then you have Josh Newton from TCU. Now, this is just some of the names. There's a lot of guys out there. There's a lot of cornerbacks out there willing to be on this list of stuff. But this is not that type of video. This is just a quick off-season strategy type, just giving you some targets to look at, especially with Combine coming up. A lot of these guys will be at the Combine. There's some guys that you can keep an eye on, when the Combine comes. But yeah, taking a long story and making it short, the New York Giants have to draft well. The next couple of years, we have to draft well, and then the draft picks that we already picked up need to keep on developing. Trey Hawkins needs to develop. Cordell Flott needs to continue to progress. And if those things happen, when you're looking at the New York Giants, it seems like all the cloud skies part a little bit and you see a little bit of sunshine if these draft picks can start to develop and be the guys that Joe Schoen and his coaching staff and these scouts thought they were going to be. Yeah. So that's going to be the video talking about the cornerbacks. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.